The call came at 4:47 inches the morning on a Thursday. I know the exact time because I had been lying awake since 3, staring at the ceiling of my apartment in Tucson, Arizona, thinking about the grandchildren I had never met. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. At my age, calls that early usually mean someone died. I answered anyway. "Mr. Langston, this is Dr. Amara Oyaleki at Phoenix Children's Hospital. I'm calling about your granddaughter, Lily. My granddaughter." I sat up so fast, my back seized. I have not heard anyone call me a grandfather in 9 years. Not since my son cut me out of his life completely. "What happened? Is she okay?" "Lily has been diagnosed with aplastic anemia. Her bone marrow is failing. She needs a transplant, and we're having difficulty finding a match. Your son provided your contact information as a potential donor. My son, Derek. Derek, who told me at his mother's funeral that he never wanted to see me again. Derek, who changed his phone number and moved without telling me where. Derek, who sent back every birthday card I mailed to his children unopened, marked Return to Sender. That Derek gave the hospital my number. "I will be there in 2 hours," I said. "My name is Harold Langston. I am 63 years old. I worked as a long-haul trucker for 31 years before my knees gave out and I had to retire early. Before that, I served 2 tours in Vietnam, came home broken in ways I did not understand until decades later, and spent most of my 30s destroying my first marriage with drinking and silence. I got sober at 41, remarried at 44 to a woman named Ruth who saw something worth saving in me. We had 20 good years together before pancreatic cancer took her in 8 months. Derek is my only child from my first marriage. His mother, Connie, raised him mostly on her own, while I was out on the road or sitting in bars, feeling sorry for myself. By the time I got my act together, he was already a teenager with a chip on his shoulder and a lifetime of disappointment built up against me. We tried. After I got sober, we really tried. He came to my wedding with Ruth. He let me meet his wife, Sandra, and I was there when their first child was born. A boy named Marcus. I held that baby in the hospital and cried. I thought I was getting a second chance. Then Ruth died, and everything fell apart. The grief hit me hard. I did not drink, but I disappeared into myself the way I used to. Missed Marcus's 3rd birthday party. Forgot to call on Christmas. Showed up to Derek's house unannounced one night, barely holding it together, and scared my grandson so badly he would not stop crying for an hour. Derek told me to leave. Told me I was the same man I had always been, just without the bottle. Told me he was done waiting for me to become the father he needed. That was 9 years ago. Marcus would be 12 now. And apparently, there was a granddaughter I never knew existed. Phoenix Children's Hospital was enormous. I parked my truck in the garage and followed signs to the bone marrow transplant unit on the 6th floor. My hands were shaking, and I could not tell if it was from fear or hope or both. Derek was waiting outside the unit. He looked older than I expected. 41 years old, gray at his temples, deep lines around his eyes. He had his mother's build, thin and wiry, but he stood like me, shoulders hunched, arms crossed, ready for a fight. "Dad." "Derek." We stared at each other across 9 years of silence. "Thank you for coming," he finally said. "Where is she?" "Where is Lily?" "Room 614. She is sleeping. The chemo is rough on her." He rubbed his face with both hands. "She is 7 years old, Dad. 7. And they cannot find a match anywhere in the registry." "What about you?" "Sandra, Marcus? None of us match well enough. They need at least an 8 out of 10 HLA match for the best chance of success. I am a 5. Sandra is a 4. Marcus is a 6. His voice cracked. "You are our last hope in the family." I nodded. "Where do I go for the test?" The testing took about 90 minutes. They drew blood, swabbed the inside of my cheek, asked me questions about my medical history. The nurse was kind, patient, explained everything twice when I did not understand. I told her about the Vietnam exposure, the years of drinking, the medications I take for blood pressure and cholesterol. She wrote it all down without judgment. Dr. Oyeleke met me afterward. She was a small woman with kind eyes and an accent I could not place. Nigerian. I learned later. Mr. Langston, we should have preliminary results within a few hours. If you are compatible, we will discuss the donation procedure. It is not without risk for someone your age, but it is manageable. I do not care about the risk, I said. If I can help her, I will do whatever it takes. She nodded and left me in a small waiting room with uncomfortable chairs and magazines from 3 years ago. I sat there alone, thinking about Lily, a granddaughter I had never met, 7 years old, fighting for her life. I thought about all the birthdays I had missed, all the school plays and soccer games and ordinary Tuesday evenings I would never get back. 9 years of her life, gone because I could not hold myself together when Ruth died. I prayed for the first time in years, not to anyone in particular, just into the emptiness. Please let me help her. Please, give me this one chance to do something right. 3 hours later, Dr. Oyeleke came back. Her face was different. Something was wrong. Mr. Langston, could you come with me, please? She led me down a corridor to a small conference room. Inside were 2 other doctors, a man about my age with silver hair and glasses, and a younger woman with a tablet computer. Mr. Langston, this is Dr. Richard Stein, our chief of hematology, and Dr. Michelle Torres, our genetics specialist. Genetics? Why would they need a geneticist? Please sit down. I sat. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. Mr. Langston, Dr. Oyeleke began slowly, we ran your compatibility test twice. We checked for lab errors, contamination, anything that might explain what we found. What do you mean? Am I not a match? The 3 doctors exchanged glances. That uncomfortable silence doctors use when they are about to deliver news that will change your life. Mr. Langston, Dr. Stein said, the test results show that you are not biologically related to Lily. I blinked. She is my son's daughter. Derek is my son. That is what we assumed as well. Dr. Torres leaned forward, her voice gentle. So we ran an additional panel. Mr. Langston, according to our genetic analysis, Derek is not your biological son. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the table. That is impossible. I was there when he was born. I raised him. He is my son. We understand this is extremely difficult to hear, Dr. Torres continued. But genetics do not lie. There is no paternal DNA match between you and Derek. You share no biological relationship. But Connie, my ex-wife, I could not finish the sentence. 41 years. 41 years of believing Derek was mine. All those years of guilt over being a bad father. All those years of trying to make amends. All those years of thinking I failed my own son. And he was never mine to begin with. There is something else, Dr. Stein said carefully. Something we discovered in the comparative analysis that makes this situation more unusual. More unusual? How could it possibly be more unusual? We also tested Marcus, Derek's son, as a potential donor. Dr. Torres pulled up something on her tablet. The results were unexpected. Marcus is biologically related to you. I stared at her. What? Marcus shares your paternal DNA. He is your biological grandson. But that means Derek cannot be Marcus's biological father, Doctor, Stein said quietly. The genetic evidence suggests that Marcus's biological father is someone who shares your DNA, a close male relative, perhaps a sibling. I have one brother, I heard myself say. Walter. He is 5 years younger than me, lives in Scottsdale. Dr. Torres nodded. That would be consistent with the genetic markers we found. The room was spinning. I pressed my palms against the table, trying to anchor myself to something solid. Let me understand this. I said each word slowly, carefully, like I was learning a new language. Derek is not my biological son. He is someone else's child. But Marcus, Derek's son, is actually my grandson. Because my brother Walter is Marcus's biological father. which means my brother slept with my son's wife. That appears to be what the evidence suggests, Dr. Oyelecki said softly. I am so sorry, Mr. Langston. I sat in that conference room for a long time after the doctors left. I could not move, could not think, could not do anything except stare at the wall and try to process what I had just learned. Connie had cheated on me, gotten pregnant by another man. Let me believe for 41 years that Derek was my son. All those years of feeling guilty for not being there enough. All those years of trying to make up for my failures as a father. And it was never even real. But that was only half of it. My brother. My own brother had slept with Sandra, Derek's wife. And the boy I thought was my step-grandson was actually my biological grandson. Marcus was mine, not Derek's. How long had Walter known? Had Sandra told him? Did Derek suspect? And what about Lily? If Derek was not my biological son, and Marcus was not Derek's biological son, then whose child was Lily? I found Derek in the hospital cafeteria. He was sitting alone at a corner table, a cold cup of coffee in front of him, staring at nothing. He looked up when I approached, and I saw hope in his eyes. Dad, did they finish the test? Are you a match? I sat down across from him. My legs were shaking. Derek, we need to talk. What? What is wrong? You are scaring me. I looked at my son. The man I had raised from a distance. The man I had failed in 100 different ways. The man who had shut me out of his life for nearly a decade. And I was about to destroy everything he thought he knew about himself. I am not a match for Lily, I said. Because I am not biologically related to her. Derek frowned. What? That does not make any sense. She is your granddaughter. No, Derek, she is not. And you are not my biological son. His face went through shock, then confusion, then anger. What the hell are you talking about? The doctors ran a full genetic panel. You and I share no paternal DNA. Your mother. I could not say the words at first. Your mother must have been with another man when she got pregnant with you. Derek stood up so fast his chair fell over. That is a lie. Mom would never. I know it is hard to hear. I did not want to believe it either. But they ran the test 3 times. No, this is some kind of mistake. You are just trying to... He stopped. Trying to what? He said, quieter now. What would you possibly gain from this? Nothing. I gain nothing. I am losing a son. Derek picked up his chair. Sat back down. His hands were shaking. This does not make sense, he said. Even if Mom cheated. That does not explain why you are not related to Lily. She is my daughter. My biological daughter. I closed my eyes. There is more. More? How can there be more? They also tested Marcus. As a potential donor. Derek nodded slowly. They said he was only a 6, not compatible enough. They did not tell you everything. Marcus is not your biological son, Derek. Derek laughed, a sharp, broken sound. Now I know you are crazy. I was there when he was born, Sandra and I. Marcus shares my DNA, I said. My direct paternal line. The doctors believe his biological father is my brother. Your Uncle Walter. Derek's face went white. Uncle Walter? He and Sandra. I could not finish. Derek pushed back from the table. No. That is insane. Sandra would never. Walter is. He put his hands over his face. Oh, God. The trip to Scottsdale. What trip? 12 years ago. Sandra went to visit her college friend in Phoenix. She stayed with Walter one night because her friend had a family emergency. She said nothing happened. She said, Derek was crying now. Silently, his shoulders shaking. I reached across the table and put my hand on his arm. I am sorry, son. I am so sorry. He looked up at me with red eyes. You called me son. You are my son. I do not care what any DNA test says. I raised you. I worried about you. I loved you even when you hated me. That does not change just because of biology. Derek wiped his face. But Marcus. Marcus is not mine? No. But he is still mine. And he is still your son in every way that matters. Does he know? No. Not yet. Derek stared at the table for a long time. And Lily? If you are not related to her, and Marcus is not related to her, Lily is yours, Derek. The test confirmed that. She is your biological daughter. She just is not biologically connected to me because you are not biologically connected to me. So we are back to square one. No donor in the family. Not necessarily, I said slowly. If Marcus is my biological grandson, and Lily is your biological daughter, they are still half-siblings. They share Sandra as a mother. That might be enough for a partial match. Derek's head snapped up. They said Marcus was only a 6, because they were comparing him to Lily as full siblings. But they are not full siblings. We need to tell the doctors what we know. Have them run the test again with the correct assumptions. Finding Dr. Oyeleke took 20 minutes. Explaining the situation took another hour. She listened carefully, asked clarifying questions, ordered new tests. By evening, we had new results. Marcus is actually a 9 out of 10 match for Lily, Dr. Oyeleke said. When we assumed full sibling relationship, the algorithm misread some of the shared genetic markers. Knowing they are half-siblings, we can see the true compatibility. He is an excellent candidate for donation. Derek collapsed into a chair. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Marcus is 12 years old, Dr. Oyeleke continued. He will need to consent to the procedure, and given his age, we will need parental authorization. But if everyone agrees, we can proceed within the week. Derek looked at me. We have to tell him. We have to tell him everything. That is your decision to make, I said. He is your son, no matter what. Will you come with me? I had been waiting 9 years to hear those words. We found Marcus in the family waiting room, playing a game on his phone. He was a handsome kid, tall for his age, with Sandra's dark hair and, I realize now, my father's nose. My nose. A Langston nose. Hey, buddy, Derek said. Can we talk to you for a minute? Marcus looked up. Is Lily okay? She is going to be okay, I said. Thanks to you. Me? We sat down on either side of him. Derek took a deep breath. Marcus, there is no easy way to say this, so I am just going to say it. You might be the only one who can save your sister's life. Your bone marrow is a match for Lily. Marcus's eyes went wide. Really? I can help her? You can. But before we do that, there is something else we need to tell you. Something about our family. I watched Derek struggle. Watched him search for words to explain betrayal and secrets and the complicated mess that families become over time. Marcus, Derek finally said, I want you to know that I love you. I have loved you since the moment you were born. Nothing I am about to tell you changes that. Dad, you are scaring me. A long time ago, your mom made a mistake. She was with another man, just once, and he stopped. And it turns out that man is your biological father. Not me. Marcus stared at him. What? It does not change anything between us. I am still your dad. I will always be your dad. But I wanted you to know the truth before you made this decision about Lily. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at me. Is that why you are here, Grandpa? Because of this secret? I came here because Lily needed help, I said. I did not know any of this until a few hours ago. But you are still my grandpa? I smiled, even though my heart was breaking. I am still your grandpa. The tests actually proved that. It is complicated, but yes. You and I are blood relatives. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, then I want to help Lily. Derek blinked. You do not have questions? You are not angry? I have a million questions. And yeah, I am kind of angry. But Lily is dying. She is my sister. He looked at Derek. She is still my sister, right? She is still your sister. Then we can figure out all the other stuff later. Right now, I want to save my sister. I had never been prouder of anyone in my entire life. The transplant happened 5 days later. The procedure went smoothly. Marcus handled the donation like a champ, joking with the nurses and asking for extra jello. Within a week, there were signs that Lily's body was accepting the new marrow. I visited her every day during recovery. She was small for 7, with bright red hair that she got from Sandra's side and freckles scattered across her cheeks like constellations. The chemo had taken most of her hair, but her spirit was unbroken. "Grandpa Harold," she said one afternoon, "can you tell me a story?" "What kind of story?" "A true one, about when you were young." So I told her about Vietnam. Not the bad parts, but the friends I made, the places I saw, the letters Ruth used to write me before we ever met, when we were just pen pals matched up by a church program. I told her about learning to drive a truck, about seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time, about the diner in New Mexico where they made the best green chili cheeseburgers in the world. She fell asleep holding my hand. The confrontation with Sandra happened 3 weeks after the transplant. She had been avoiding me since the truth came out, but eventually there was nowhere left to hide. "I know you must hate me," she said. We were standing in the hospital parking garage, the only place private enough for this conversation. "I do not hate you, Sandra. I am too old and too tired for hate." She wiped her eyes. "There was one time, one stupid night. Walter was charming and I was lonely, and Derek was working 80-hour weeks at his startup, and I made a mistake. I never told anyone because I thought it did not matter. Marcus looked like Derek. I convinced myself it was Derek's. And Connie? Did you know about her?" Sandra shook her head. "I had no idea until the tests. Derek called her last week. She admitted everything. His biological father was her boss at the insurance company where she worked. The affair lasted 2 years. She said she ended it before Derek was born, but the timing. Who was he?" "A man named Leonard Walsh. He died in 2008, heart attack. So Derek will never know him." Sandra laughed bitterly. "Would he want to?" "The man was a liar and a cheat. At least you—" She stopped. "At least you tried to be a good father, even when you were struggling. Leonard Walsh just pretended Derek did not exist." "What about Walter? Have you talked to him?" "Once. He denied everything at first. Then he blamed me. Then he offered to pay for Lily's medical bills if I kept quiet." She shook her head. "I told him to go to hell." "And Derek?" "Derek is processing. We are in counseling. I do not know if our marriage will survive this, but we are trying. For the kids." I nodded. "I spent 40 years feeling guilty for not being the father Derek deserved. Turns out I was never even given the chance." "You were still there," Sandra said. "You still showed up, even when he pushed you away. That matters. It matters more than DNA." The custody arrangements took 6 months to sort out. Derek and Sandra separated but did not divorce. They agreed to co-parent and to give Marcus the choice of how much contact he wanted with me. Marcus chose a lot. He started coming to visit me in Tucson every other weekend. We would go hiking in Sabino Canyon, eat breakfast at my favorite diner, watch old war movies that Ruth used to love. He asked me questions about my life, about Vietnam, about the years I spent drinking, about how I got sober. "Were you scared?" he asked one night. "When you quit drinking?" "Terrified," I said. But I was more scared of what I was becoming. I did not want to die as the man I was. I wanted a chance to be better. Marcus nodded. "I'm scared about Mom and Dad, about whether they will stay together. Whatever happens between them," I said, "you will still have people who love you. Your dad, your mom, your sister, me. Family is not just about who lives in the same house. It is about who shows up when things get hard. Like you showed up for Lily?" "Like you showed up for Lily," I corrected him. "You are the hero of this story, not me. You saved your sister's life." He smiled. We both did. Derek came to see me about 8 months after everything happened. He drove down to Tucson on a Saturday, showed up at my apartment unannounced, just like I had done to him all those years ago when Ruth died. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked around my small living room, looking at the photographs on the walls. Ruth and me at our wedding, Derek as a baby, Marcus as a toddler, a new one of Lily, taken last month, her hair starting to grow back in soft red curls. "I have been thinking," Derek said, "about what you said in the hospital, about how I am still your son." "You are." He turned to face me. "But I spent my whole life resenting you, blaming you for not being there. And you were not even my real father." "I was your real father. I was just a bad one for too long." Derek shook his head. "Mom lied to you. She let you think I was yours, and you spent 40 years carrying guilt that was never yours to carry. That is not fair." "No," I said, "it is not fair. But fair does not matter much in the end. What matters is what you do with the time you have." Derek sat down heavily on my couch. "I do not know how to forgive her. Mom, I mean. She died 5 years ago, and I cannot even confront her about this." "You do not have to forgive her," I said. "Some things are too big for forgiveness. But you can let go of the anger, not for her sake, for yours." "How did you do it?" "With me, I mean. I shut you out for 9 years. I said terrible things to you. How did you not hate me?" I sat down across from him. "Because you were right. I was not there when you needed me. After Ruth died, I fell apart. I became the same man I was when you were a kid, just without the alcohol. You had every right to protect yourself and your family from that." Derek was quiet for a moment. "I was wrong, though, about you being the same man. You showed up at that hospital. You stayed even after you found out I was not your biological son. You built a relationship with Marcus, even though Sandra was the one who—" He could not finish. "Family is complicated," I said. "People hurt each other. They lie and cheat and make mistakes they can never fully repair. But they also love each other. They forgive, they try again. That is what makes us human." Derek wiped his eyes. "I want to try again. With you. With us. I want Marcus to know his grandfather. I want Lily to know her grandfather, even if there is no blood between you." "She already does," I said. "I have been visiting her every week since she got out of the hospital." Derek laughed. A real laugh, the first one I had heard from him in years. "Of course you have. Lily made a full recovery. The bone marrow transplant took completely, and within a year, she was back to being a normal 7-year-old. 8 now. She plays soccer, badly, and takes piano lessons. Slightly less badly, and calls me every Sunday night to tell me about her week. Marcus is 14. He knows everything now, about Walter, about Sandra, about the whole tangled mess of our family tree. He processed it the way teenagers do, with anger and confusion and eventually acceptance. He still calls Derek Dad. He still calls me Grandpa. Biology did not change what we built. Walter tried to reach out once, about 6 months ago. He sent me an email apologizing, explaining, making excuses. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges are not worth rebuilding. Some betrayals are too deep. Derek and Sandra are still separated. They co-parent well, talk to each other with respect, attend family events together without drama. Maybe they will reconcile someday. Maybe they will not. Either way, they are handling it with more grace than I ever managed in my first marriage. I turned 64 last month. Derek threw me a party at his house in Phoenix. Marcus made a cake from scratch. Lily drew me a card with crayons, a picture of our whole family standing together, each of us labeled in her careful handwriting. Grandpa Harold, Dad, Mom, Marcus. Looking at that picture, you would never know about the lies and secrets underneath. You would just see a family, and maybe that is the point. I keep a photograph on my nightstand now. It is from Lily's 8th birthday party, 3 months ago. She is blowing out candles on a pink cake, her face lit up with joy. Marcus is standing behind her, grinning. Derek has his arm around my shoulders. I am in focus this time. I spent 40 years believing I was a failure as a father. Turns out I was failing at a job I never actually had. Derek was not mine by blood, but the guilt I carried, the effort I put into trying to make amends, the love I never stopped feeling even when he pushed me away, that was all real. That counted for something, And Marcus is mine. Biologically, legally, in every way that matters. My grandson. My blood. The Langston line continues through him, even though the path it took was nothing like I imagined. Families are strange things. They break apart and reform in new shapes. They absorb betrayals that should destroy them and emerge somehow stronger. They are built on lies and held together by love, and in the end, the love is what remains. So here is my question for you. What makes someone a grandfather? Is it biology? Is it a piece of paper? Or is it something deeper? Something that cannot be measured in a lab or argued in a courtroom? I spent 9 years thinking I had lost my family. Turns out I never lost them at all. They were waiting for me, even when they did not know it. Tell me your story. What does family mean to you? If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel. New stories every week. Real people. Impossible situations. And the strength we find when everything falls apart. Turn on notifications so you do not miss a single one. Thank you for staying until the end. It means everything. I will see you in the next one.